Hi, friends. Welcome to the Full and Thriving podcast. I'm your host, Meg McCabe, and if you're here, it means you're ready for some aha moments that will inspire you to create a more vibrant, authentic life that's full of joyful moments, deeper connections, inner peace, and courageous action towards your dreams. Let's get started. Okay, I know that all of you can relate to this. Have you ever taken a moment to look down at your phone and you realize that it's running low on battery? Or even worse, you have an older phone that has a battery that drains super fast throughout the day? As someone who uses my phone daily, I immediately notice a change in its functionality. When it's running low, the internet takes a bit longer to load. I can't download or even update apps, and things just slow down. It's just not processing anything as well as it usually does. And as a result, I'm not as productive when my phone is on low battery. And for me, it just turns into this game where I'm thinking constantly, where's the nearest charger? Where's the nearest outlet? Have I closed out all of my apps to save battery? And at times I'll feel almost a bit panicky. Like, what if the battery runs out and I can't reach people when I need them? Or what if I'm driving on a road I'm not used to or know very well and I can't use my GPS to get home? And for me, I have no question in my head that when the battery is low, it's time to plug the phone into the wall and let it get back to full battery so that it can function optimally again and support my full range of needs. Well, in today's episode, we are actually going to be thinking about this analogy a lot because we are talking about rest. And in today's episode, we are challenging your views about rest and taking breaks. So many of the people I work with have a negative view on rest. They believe it's a waste of time, or it's not productive, or it's not useful enough. However, when it comes to rest, I want you to think about your body like it's that phone battery. I know you take care of your phone's battery. Like your phone, you have limited energy day to day, and with and without rest, you're functioning like a phone that's constantly in low battery mode, which means without rest, you're not functioning optimally, you're not performing well, you're not thinking clearly. Your processing time is slower, and all the other things that can happen. Whenever you rest, I want you to think about it like you're charging your cell phone battery. If you do not stop to charge your phone, it will not work. And I want you to think about rest that way. If you do not rest, your body will stop working and your mind will also function poorly. Rest is your body's version of recharging that battery. Rest is necessary. It's actually non-negotiable in your life. And I want you to start thinking about how rest is actually quite productive for your life. And without it, you cannot thrive. Welcome to today's episode of Full and Thriving, a mental health and personal development podcast. I'm your host, Meg McCabe, and today I'll be talking about the 5 benefits of rest so that you can let go of the guilt and shame and self-judgment you have around it and let yourself find more balance in your life. As I'm recording this episode, I am exactly 1 week away from being induced to give birth to my first child. So this time next week, I'll be in labor and delivery on the path to becoming a mom. I am literally so grateful to have made it this far and grateful to my younger self for choosing recovery so that I could actually get to this moment of being a mom. And unless baby Jack, which is his name, we're naming him Jack Donovan Hardy, unless he decides to come early, I will be starting maternity leave this Friday. And for the first time in ages, I will be taking work completely off, and I will not be seeing clients, recording podcasts, or hosting workshops inside the Recovery Collective for 2 months. And I will be probably really slowly easing my way into work in December. And because I've had 9 months to prepare for this, I recorded all of the episodes you are going to need while I'm away, so you don't have to miss a week. And the only change you can expect is that starting in October, episodes will be posted on Tuesdays instead of Thursdays. So keep an eye out every Tuesday for a new episode of the show. And I felt like talking about rest today is the ultimate topic because I am hoping to get plenty of rest in between taking care of baby Jack over the next few months. So if you are one of those people who really cannot figure out why rest is important, maybe you think it's just lazy or unproductive or not useful, today's episode is designed to help you start to think about rest a little bit differently. And we are going to actually outline many of the benefits of rest. Personally, I think I have a very healthy relationship with rest overall. I actually feel like I do a good job of keeping a work-life balance, especially with my time. So on the weekends, I am living and not connected to work, even though as an entrepreneur, the temptation is there. I usually do a very good job keeping that balance. I'm also very much a sleeper inner. I embrace sleep. I love to slow down, and I don't overdo it with movement or exercise. I've done a lot of work around not overcommitting myself and keeping my schedule balanced. I even have been focusing on minimizing screen time, which feels amazing. But I will say that as an American entrepreneur, my biggest challenge around rest has been really to take vacation time off. So I'm very cool with nights and weekends, but taking that vacation time has been my struggle. And I am so excited for the opportunity within the next few years to start exploring that more than just me going to Europe for the Recovery Collective retreats, which is like work disguised as a travel opportunity. So anyway, just being honest, rest isn't easy for everyone, right? I find I can truly embrace the concept of sleep. Like I love the way I grew up because my mom really cherishes sleep. Ever since me and my sister were born, she struggled with sleep and getting enough, obviously, with identical twins. So growing up, when Katie and I would actually sleep in, she would celebrate it and be like, good for you. You definitely needed that. I'm so happy you gave your body what you needed. I'm so happy you're well rested. She never shamed us around sleep. So again, I feel like rest, taking breaks, sleep is generally healthy for me. However, I think there's still that little place of opportunity where I could take more work breaks. And I love to be vulnerable with you guys around what I'm learning about myself and focusing on, because I think it's really important as someone with a podcast to just share, yes, while I'm teaching so much of this stuff, there's also areas of improvement. And I really believe in showing my imperfections in any way possible, because I know there are a lot of people out there painting themselves as perfect people, when in reality, we're all always working on something. And for me, it's taking time off. And as I embark on maternity leave, this is going to be the longest extended period of time I've taken off from work ever. in my life. And it's not even necessarily a vacation, but it is letting myself have the space to take care of my child. And I am so grateful and curious to know what that's going to be like. But anyway, enough about me. Let's dive into more of the podcast content. So, in the work I do with my clients, rest is something that can be a really triggering topic. Resting, for many folks, can lead to feelings of guilt and shame. And then on top of that, the inner critic comes up with different judgments about them, such as you're lazy or not good enough, you're wasting your time, this is pointless, this is useless. And if you've been feeling this way about rest, chances are you gained this worldview from the messages you received about rest growing up within your household. So for many listening today, movement, exercise, and activity, and just doing and being busy and being productive are the things that you feel like you can access to actually soothe those feelings of guilt and that harsh inner critic that gets loud when you attempt to rest. So when your inner critic is really berating you, I know doing and being busy and trying to be productive can help you quiet that voice. However, what that also does is make you disconnect from yourself, which is a problem, and it can make you disconnect from your body. So today, I really want to reframe the concept of rest for you by outlining 5 benefits of rest. And I promise you, they're things that maybe you haven't really thought about in a while. Maybe you have overlooked them. So if you are someone who feels uncomfortable about rest and feels like when you're resting, or maybe you resist rest even when a professional recommends it, I want to say that I have total compassion for you. You are not alone. Due to diet culture's exercise obsession and capitalism's obsession with productivity, many of us grow up with the mentality that our worth and value are connected to those things. And when we slow down and be still, we are no longer good enough. And we are no longer doing anything to become good enough. And in fact, many of us feel like we're on this continuous hamster wheel of movement and productivity our entire lives. And I know that many people who feel this way are terrified to jump off the hamster wheel because the concept of stillness and slowing down feel so unknown and so foreign. And those things actually threaten your sense of self-worth and value in the society we live in. So I have total compassion for the people who are afraid to rest, just thinking about the messages we receive in America and elsewhere about how we, quote, should be. And I also want to remind you, I have a lot to say leading up to my 5 benefits of rest is that your body and mind are invincible until they are not. I say this at least once a day to my coaching students. You might feel like your body is invincible now and you can bulldoze it and you don't have to rest like other people. In fact, maybe you feel like a unicorn who doesn't need rest or even a lot of sleep to function during the day. But I need to warn you about this. I see people ignore their body and their mind's plead for rest. And unfortunately, it always catches up to them. So often people will bulldoze the warning signs that they receive. And the universe gives you plenty of warning signs when rest is needed. It might start off with just some extreme exhaustion, maybe a small injury here or there, and then maybe it escalates in dangerous ways. For instance, maybe needing an emergency surgery or breaking some ribs or even worse. So do not ignore the warning signs that rest is needed. Because if you keep ignoring them, those warning signs will just get louder and more problematic until you are forced to rest in some way. I always say, if you don't rest, the universe will force you to rest in a way that is outside of your control. And I don't want you to get to that point where your body is in need of rest so badly that you are forced medically or professionally to rest due to some sort of problem or emergency. Remember me telling you this. Please be proactive about your health by resting, sleeping, and taking plenty of breaks. All right, now that I've shared all of my thoughts about rest, I want to go into the 5 huge benefits of rest that you will experience if you start to slow down. And the hope here is that you challenge your beliefs around rest and taking breaks and sleep to start to question if everything you think you know and everything you believe about rest is actually true. Okay, so the most relevant truth about rest that many people who struggle with food and body seem to overlook is that rest is required for physical recovery. This means at a minimum, your body needs time to rest so that it can repair itself, fight off illness, rebuild muscle that's been broken down during exercise and movement, and replenish energy stores. And if you are someone who claims that you are exercising for health reasons, but you refuse to take rest days and relax and slow down and live with balance, I'm going to call you out and say it's a little bit hypocritical. If you truly believe in honoring your health, listening to your body is key. And if you're steamrolling your body and constantly pushing it beyond its limits, you are not being a responsible caretaker of your health. So again, we need to think about rest as an opportunity to take care of ourselves and give our bodies something that it needs that we might not be able to see. And I think this is why it can feel so intolerable to rest, is because yes, intellectually, we know that resting physically restores so much in the body, and it's so important to rest and to get a good sleep. However, because a lot of this isn't seen, people downplay it and don't think it is important. So just remember, rest isn't about just doing nothing. It's about what your body is doing that you are not consciously a part of. So your body has a lot of work to do, and the only way it can really execute that is if you take rest and give it the time to restore itself and repair itself. Okay, the second reason why rest is actually so valuable is that it can help you with your decision making. Isn't that amazing? This is because rest brings mental clarity. Think about it. When you're unrested, it's so common to experience brain fog and be distracted easily. I know that when I'm feeling unrested, I tend to feel more anxious and really confused about decisions, less clear-headed in general, and I tend to go back and forth with decision making, probably because I'm more emotional as well when I'm not as rested. In fact, I see this with my clients. Decisions tend to overwhelm the people who are just completely burnt out. And if they are underrested and undernourished, their brains tend to go back and forth around decisions over and over again. And when you are unrested, your brain's processing time slows down. So your focus is less powerful and your ability to listen isn't as sharp as it could be. So if you find that you live in a constant state of indecision or lack of clarity, rest is proven to improve this, and thus you will become a better decision maker if you actually take breaks and get an adequate amount of sleep. Now, this brings me to my next reason, the third reason why rest is so valuable. And to introduce this to you, I'm going to ask you a question. When you're absolutely exhausted and burned out, what is your mood? What's your typical mood? Do you feel like rainbows and butterflies? I doubt it. I know for me, when I'm completely wiped out, my mood is crap. I'm more irritable. I'm critical of myself and others. I'm whiny. Sometimes I'm more down in the dumps. And when something comes up, I'm less capable of coping with the emotions. And I feel like my emotions are more intense when I'm exhausted. Like sadness feels more sad and anxiety feels more anxious. And honestly, when I'm in that state, I'm even more likely to snap at the people around me who I love, which sucks. So if you can relate to this, reason number 3 is rest improves emotional regulation. And to highlight this even more, as a new mom, I'm surrounded by moms who are extremely focused on the quality of their baby's nap time. And as someone who's never had kids before, I'm kind of like, all right, like I get it. Nap time's important. Like if you haven't been there, you haven't been there. I haven't actually been there. But when I ask these moms who are my friends why they are so kind of uptight about their baby's nap time, their typical response is, well, if my baby has a shit nap, they become fussy, irritable, and whiny, which ruins our day. So on the days you are overtired, don't you just feel like an emotional toddler? Maybe we haven't really outgrown our need for rest at all. When a toddler is having an emotional fit, the parent typically asks, does my kid need food or a nap? And when you think about it, rest is an imperative basic need for humans and adults as well. And resting can improve your ability to have a better day, just like the toddler. It can improve your ability to ride emotional waves. It can reduce stress levels, reduce anxiety, and have you be less irritable. And I'm sure the people around you will be so grateful for that. And finally, rest helps stabilize mood and improves your emotional resilience, which makes it easier for you to handle challenges with a calm and clear perspective instead of being so volatile with your moods. Because I know, and you know, that when we are tired and feeling fussy, we can't handle challenges with as much strength as when we are rested and mentally calm. All right, number 4, my fourth reason that rest is important, and I say this like a broken record, rest is productive. And I get it. This sounds probably a little annoying, but most people see rest as a total waste of time. And to that note, they also think, how could it be productive if you're literally not doing anything? But in reality, a lot is happening behind the scenes when you rest. In fact, you have to have faith that a lot is happening that you cannot see when you rest. So you might not be actively producing something, but the actual productivity and creativity comes with the stillness. If you think about resting, I want you to remember the battery analogy I already told you about. Resting improves productivity and creativity. Why? First of all, remember that battery. When you take breaks, you can come back refreshed and ready to focus. In fact, when you rest, you are actively preventing yourself from reaching burnout, which is characterized by various symptoms, such as feeling removed from your work, feeling removed from your colleagues, difficulty focusing on your job, and lack of satisfaction at work. So, if you are go, 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 go without breaks, your productivity and feelings about work decrease. And if you're feeling negative about work, you're not going to be doing very much at work. Resting can help you connect with what you love about your job and what you enjoy about it, and generally feel better walking into work each day. And on the creativity front, when you're feeling relaxed, you're more open to creative new ideas and problem solving. I have a life example in this case. Right before the pandemic, I would go to yin yoga class with a friend of mine. And if you all don't know what yin yoga is, it is like napping yoga. I kid you not. It is extremely restful. There are minimal poses throughout the class, and it's usually dimly lit. So it was during one of these peaceful, slow, candle-lit classes that I came up with my original eating disorder recovery group, which was Lunch Warriors. Shout out to anybody who was part of that group. It was a meal support group that was free that I started, which laid the groundwork for the recovery collective itself. The calming environment at the yin yoga studio and me slowing down my body allowed my mind to relax and to wander and to reflect in peace without distractions. And that first recovery community was born. And I got to tell you, that idea came to me immediately upon just sitting on the mat and slowing down. And I was so inspired and excited. I remember being in that yoga class, feeling elated by this idea I had. And it would not have happened if I had my face in my phone or if I was doing instead of slowing down. So what I have to say is when you rest, you are giving your brain an opportunity to relax and let ideas and creativity flow. It's really fun to watch your brain wander. It is okay to let your brain wander. If you're feeling a relaxed nervous system, those ideas are not anxious ideas. They're calm, they're creative, they're juicy, and you can get some sort of streak of brilliance. I'm telling you, you can come up with a book idea if you just slow down and let yourself be. Okay. And finally, I have one last benefit of rest. And this is really relevant with flu season coming up. And I think it's important to bring this up. Resting helps your immune system. Think of it this way. When your body is getting sick, it needs more energy to fight off illness and disease and repair itself. If you're running on an energy deficit with minimal eating and excessive activity or exercise, there is less energy to go around and to devote to the strengthening of the immune system and its ability to fight off sickness. And I gotta say, every time I feel a cold coming on or some sort of sickness, my hack is that instead of waiting for a full-blown flu to hit me or to be super sick or get a fever, my hack is to rest as much as possible before it turns into some full-blown illness. I haven't been super sick because I'm so attentive to my body's needs. I hydrate, I take vitamin C, I sleep, I clear my schedule to sleep. And I find that this prevents me from getting as sick as I could. If I run my body to the ground, if I ignore those early signs of being sick, or force myself to go to work when I'm not feeling well, it usually just backfires because my immune system is unrested. And that rest really, really helps me feel infinitely better. So if you're someone who is constantly getting sick, ask yourself if you are resting or sleeping enough. And chances are it's your body's way of telling you to slow down. All right, everyone. So there you have it, the 5 ways rest is beneficial for your life. I'm going to recap these for you now. First of all, rest is required for physical recovery and repair of your body. It also improves cognitive function making and thus improves your decision making. It helps regulate mood and it improves your productivity and creativity. And finally, rest helps boost your immune system and you're actually sick less if you dedicate the time to sleep, take breaks, honor your body, and slow down. If you are apprehensive of all of this or scared to give rest a real try, I encourage you to merely experiment. If you allow yourself an extra 30 minutes of sleep a night, or give yourself a full hour lunch break without screens and sit outside and just slow down, you might be able to notice a difference. Maybe you can challenge yourself to exercise less throughout the week. Again, whatever you pick, I want you to observe the difference that the rest can make in your life. And if you really want rest to be a permanent part of your life, and you have a true intention to be someone who takes breaks and honors their body and rests, I want you to look for the positive difference that rest brings into your life. So maybe you notice after taking more breaks throughout the day, you're in a bit of a better mood. Take note of that and help that mean something so that you can change your beliefs about rest. If you notice you're less irritable, let that be evidence that rest is helping regulate your mood and improve your life. So my suggestion here is to be open to seeing a different option for your life and to changing your beliefs about rest, that it's not necessary or not important. Be open to really feeling into the possibility that rest can help you and benefit your life. And I promise that it will do you a lot of good to start making those small changes so that you can really honor your body in a new way. Okay, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. And over the next few months, I'll be prioritizing my rest as well, as much as possible. And I hope that this episode inspires you to do the same.
All right, that concludes this week's episode of the Full and Thriving podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of the show. When you have a moment, please head on over to Instagram and follow my recovery coaching account at Meg_McCabe to stay up to date on everything I'm doing in recovery land. And if you're feeling extra inspired, please send me a direct message to let me know how this podcast has impacted your life. I'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next week.